Have you ever felt so exhausted and drained that you're left questioning if you're burning out? Hi, I'm Flic Taylor, and my passion for burnout and self-care came about when I became a mental health writer who'd lost her mental health to extreme burnout. I know, the irony is not lost on me. Join me as I host Everyday Burnout Conversations, the honest podcast that shares the stories of others from all walks of life as they recover from, manage and avoid burnout by prioritising their mental health and well-being. Expect to hear fascinating conversations, plus positive and actionable tips and tricks that can help you make the simple life changes your mental health will thank you for. Episodes will be delightfully wrapped up in some epic truths and great humour. So, enjoy! Today's guest is Kelly Ford, who is a comedian and broadcaster. Her show for Soho Radio, Sex Lies and Videotapes, has been delving into the lives of people in Soho since 2015. Kelly also co-hosts the radio and podcast documentary series The Everything Project with Natalie Lee, which shines a light onto worlds unknown, giving a voice to those unheard. Kelly was 15 when she lost her mum, Jill, to ovarian cancer. When she became a mother herself 21 years later, she found herself only wanting to hear about motherhood from her lovely mum. This inspired Kelly to create the beautiful podcast series, The Motherless. Kelly speaks to a diverse range of women who lost their mothers at varying stages of life, looking at their relationships and highlighting the resilience and strength experienced by women in daily life. It's an incredible podcast for anyone experiencing grief. Maybe you've lost a loved one, or you're someone who treasures hearing the real-life stories of others. In today's Everyday Burnout Conversation episode, I chat to Kelly about the perfect storm that led to her burnout, manifesting physically, eventually reaching a diagnosis of, let me get this right, Pyoderma Gangrenosum and suspected Crohn's disease. She talks about the warning signs that she's learned to keep watch for, along with the daily stress management she embraces to keep burnout at bay. So, without further ado, enjoy listening to my chat with the lovely Kelly Ford. Right then, Kelly, let's go for it.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
So, for your listeners, we do need to let them know, don't we, that we've got another recruit as part of this conversation who's a 5-month-old baby called Eliza, who's my lockdown princess. She's hanging with us today. So
she is moderating the panel. She's giving the best smiles ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, she may have a little word to say or two, and we welcome it. We're like, come on, Eliza, what you got for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh dear. So Kelly, you when we first started connecting together, you were saying that you had a brush with burnout, and it was like it affected you physically as well as mentally. And I'd love you just to start telling us a little bit about that.
It's so funny, right? Because before our conversation today, I said to my husband, when this thing had happened, would he have described it as burnout? He said, "Oh, well," he said it was a perfect storm.
Ooh,
and
okay.
I thought that was quite an interesting description.
Yes.
So I'm a mum of two.
Okay.
This thing happened to me in 2018, and I had a 2-year-old at the time, Tabitha, and started the year, and we had 2 trips of a lifetime in 2 months. So we had originally booked this 2-week travel trip to Bali with 10 mates, with our kids, very exciting.
Oh.
And that was going to happen in the March, but then out of nowhere, our very good friend says, we're getting married in Japan in February. Do you want to come? We're like, whoa, we haven't got the money. So we're like, make it happen. So we made it happen. Screw it, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so we had these 2 travel trips that were trips for a lifetime. So to have them 3 weeks apart was slightly crazy. But, you know, in Japan, we traveled up to the top. We skied. We went to Disney, Ghibli. We saw the bloody monkeys. You know, we literally did it. We licked the lid of Japan. And it was magical. We shared it with our incredible friends. And then came back for 3 weeks, went to Bali for 2 weeks and lived like Puff Daddy. It's amazing. And then I came back and basically at the time I was doing quite a lot of producing, and I had a 3-week production job. And this job, Flic, was mental, right? It was one of those mental jobs where you're working 15 hours a day, 17 hours a day. You've got like American clients at 11 o'clock at night asking you to show them extra shoe options. And I've got like a husband and a 2-year-old at home. So the days were long. And in Bali, we had mosquito bites, right? So you get mosquito bites when you come back from holiday and they get a bit itchy. And I was working this really intense job, and this one mosquito bite was just started to get a bit raised. And I was like, Anyway, within a week, it kind of had like opened, and it was like kind of like a pinhole opening. And I was like, at the same time, I was feeling tired, like really tired. And over the process of about 2 to 3 weeks, this insect bite, there we go. 1 second. I've got a baby.
Look, she's like, I've got something to say about the insect bite. Bring me up.
Basically, the insect bite, I can only say, unfurled. And I was like producing this mega job. It was for commercial for Trident, American chewing gum, lots of talent, lots of different tricky client. And basically, I was on the set and I showed it to someone. I was like, look at this. And by that time, it was open and the size of a 5p piece. And my body was stiff. I was having trouble kind of walking.
Yeah.
I literally was having trouble walking. Ooh. And I was kind of hiding my exhaustion with coffee and sugar. And then I kind of went to the doctor and I was like, whoa, I'm very stiff. I'm finding it hard to walk and I'm exhausted. Like I had the flicky eye, all the signs of stress, plus exhaustion. And then I was given antibiotics and told to go away. And within a week, it was the size of a 50p piece, this open wound. And I was like, went back to the doctor. I was like, this isn't right. I need all of the tests. I want to know what's going on in my body. I need a colonoscopy, endoscopy, the whole works, an MOT. And unfortunately, the GP on this occasion wasn't great.
Okay.
But I had another round of antibiotics, and then
hello, Kitty.
And then I got a phone call, and I was producing cat's bum. I was producing. I got this phone call, and it was from the dog saying, "We've taken a swab of your wound, and you need to go to A&E right now." And at the time, I was so committed to the work that I was in A&E. I like pulled the pound machine away from the wall, plugged in my laptop. I'm there like writing emails to clients. And by this point, the wound on my leg was the size of my palm, let's say.
Oh, darling. Yeah.
And I couldn't really walk. I was very stiff, extremely fatigued. And with a 2-year-old, that is not forgiving.
Yeah.
Nope. You have to breakfast, you still have to do cleaning up off the floor. And then they gave me a massive bag of antibiotics. And I was told the next day to see the dermatologist. And the next day I went in, they performed a quick surgery on the wound. They wanted to get a biopsy. It's the most painful thing ever. And they said, well, we think that this thing is called Pyoderma Gangrenosum. And it's related to people that have Crohn's or have colitis or leukemia. And I said, when's it going to heal? I need it to heal. And they said, we can never say with this thing. Wow. Basically, I'll never forget that day because I was emailing and then they were just about to put a cannula in my hand. And I said to the employer at that time, because when you are freelance and you're hustling, you aren't only as good as your last job. So I remember saying, and they're just about to put a cannula in. I don't think I can keep up the comms with America. And supposedly the American client just said, Kelly's in hospital, she can't deal with any more comms, and they just replied with a K, like, okay.
I know.
And it's like, at what point does someone's health become less important than like chewing gum? It was just so, it just kind of put everything into a nutshell. And so from that point on, Flic, it was, I had 8 months of being in hospital on average 2 to 3 times a week. I was diagnosed with this thing, Pyoderma Gangrenosum. It's like a skin necrotizing disease. I ended up having to go to Harley Street. My brother, Granty, basically, the hospital I was at, they just weren't able to kind of treat me quickly. And I was going to these dressing clinics where they were just cutting the wound, and it was growing exponentially, because you should never like clear away the wound with like scissors or knife. And that's what they did. And basically it meant that the wound grew. And my brother was just like, he stepped in and he was like, he's found the top clinician in the whole country. This incredible man, Dr. Bashir in Harley Street, who kind of saved me and backdoored me into King's. And he was like, with what you have, they shouldn't be seeing you every 6 weeks. They should be seeing you 3 times a week. And so I was like getting taxis, which my dad and my stepmother kindly covered, to King's to get my dressings changed. And then I was put onto a whole selection of immune suppression treatments so as I could get better. My body, through exhaustion and stress, was attacking itself.
My goodness.
And so like burnout, that there is no way that is not burnout. It was a whole perfect storm of a 2-year-old overdoing life, then those big travel trips, then going into 18-hour a day job with like such high pressure, really difficult sort of production work, can be very stressful. And I was spent beyond, and then my body just started collapsing. And so like that was 3 years ago, and the wound took 8 months to close. Wow. I'm on immune suppression like probably for the rest of my life. They diagnosed me with a suspected Crohn's, and like everything kind of had to change. Like I now know the triggers. Like if I'm getting exhausted or edging towards a kind of burnout, like my ankles are the first things to flare. Okay. And I get like puffy ankles, and my feet get really difficult to walk on. And with that in mind, then I'm like, oh, I need to take it easy. Like I've got to like rest. I mean, it's quite challenging with a newborn, because I'm not getting all the perfect ingredients for being well.
Yeah.
Like all of us, I feel anyway. So that is what happened to me, and it is quite dramatic, and it was quite severe. And I would say it was burnout, because it was a physical. My body physically said no more, and I think I've been going like at it like the clappers, working hard, living hard, looking after little people, and it was relentless. And I just think there was no downtime really. And actually I think a lot of us mums, you know, the BBC even reported on it, we're all doing too much. There's too much. It's overwhelming, and actually it's holding us back. A lot of us, it's holding us back from what we actually, our true potential, because we're all having to do 15,000 things.
Yeah, you're so right, Kelly. I mean, even listening to your story, like, and having experienced burnout myself, it's really interesting. I'm a big believer that even if you're doing things you love, like it would have been amazing to have gone to Japan and Bali and all those things, but we know women do most of the bloody packing, most of the organizing, most of the sorting out of the kids. Mm-hmm. And like even doing that, it's draining. Even though someone may say she went to Japan, Bali, trips of a lifetime, it's still a lot going on. And then, but I also really relate to coming home and then just always being on. You never You never took a moment. That green light would have always been on, because you were making sure with the time difference that you were on for America as well as England. You were working around the clock. Like,
make it happen. And also when you're freelance and you live in London,
yes,
you know, wherever you live, you know, when you work, also I had those 2 trips, I needed to work, I needed to earn the dollar.
yes.
And that's factual. And like, you know, now, yes, I've got a fantastic toolkit in place and the right meds, but OMG, that was the lesson of listening to your body. Because I think for years, I had salmonella a long time ago. For years, I think I'd had gastric issues, and they're probably, your gut is directly related to stress, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And for me, I think I've had quite a lot of stress in my life. You know, I've dealt with it very well. You know, I've had an amazing support network around me that's, you know, family and extended family and friends. But I mean, stress is around. And I think now I know what it feels like. And I think I probably was ignoring it. And moral of the story is, don't ignore your body trying to tell you stuff, because it will catch up with you.
It will. And I think, like you, like for years, I have just pushed myself. Like pushing myself became the norm. Like I didn't know any other way. It was just like, I've always grafted, worked hard, tried to achieve, like, and I was just in it. I can't even say, you know, I was able to take a moment and reflect and think, well, is that really important? Like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I used to work with, you know, with palliative care and with sick children, and that whole environment really teaches you to smell the roses along the way. But I'm so sad that I wasn't also able to take from it that, you know, we matter, you matter. Like, and so I don't know about you, Kelly, I just think, oh my God, if only I'd taken a week off, maybe I could have saved myself this whole year of like heartache. You know, if we could just like clue in. And so I guess I'm saying this for any women listen to this. If you have an inkling, if you have a mosquito bite, if you have anything that you're like, oh, I'm struggling, take time off, take a break if you can. You
also know? Lean. Like, I think we've got this thing, this martyrdom. I mean, I think there's a thing of like control and like making it all happen and being that, you know, I think social media doesn't help this in any way, shape or form, where there's this kind of perception of the super mum and kind of what she can do and the juggle, and it's all rubbish. No one can really do the juggle. They're all just, some days they're good and some days they're not so good. And I've been reading the Yes Mum, Holly de Cruz's book about motherhood and basically taking it slow. And that book is amazing. And I really feel this time, it's like this week, like today I'm doing this, and yesterday I did a YouTube thing, and like I did fitness this morning, but tomorrow will be dedicated to Eliza, and we will sit on the sofa and we will maybe get off the sofa for half an hour. And I just have to do it now. I have to schedule in that, because otherwise, one, I'm on maternity leave, man. That's what I should be doing. I've been doing consistently working bits and bobs like since she's been sort of 10-12 weeks, and I just think, right, I can't. The lesson has been learned. I can never get that sick again. I thought my leg was going to drop off. I thought I was going to die. I was really scared. I was on so much immune suppression that I thought it was like, I was advised it's highly carcinogenic. It was the weekly bloods, and it all suddenly was very, very serious. And I needed help. You know, we had to, my dad and stepmothers stepped in and were like, right, we're going to get you an au pair, because we needed help. I needed practical help. I could barely walk my kid 100 meters to her nursery. So it was a big lesson in life as to what actually is worth your energy as well. Like, I do stand-up. I'm a stand-up comedian. That's like one of the things that I do and I love. But now I'm like, is that gig worth my energy? What am I gonna gain from it? What am I gonna learn from it? How many times am I gonna listen to that recording afterwards? What am I gonna draw from it? And it's like making sure that all your energy is expended for a worthy, nourishing, important reason. And I think that goes for friends, actually. I think that goes for anything you touch. It has to bring you a level of joy and importance. Otherwise, why are you doing it? I think we're all just doing too much.
Yeah, you're bang on, Kelly, because it's so easy, and certainly I was in a pattern of just giving out all the time, and I was also, it's that martyrdom, and it's a pattern. Like I wasn't even aware that I was doing it. I just did it, and it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And your lovely dad and stepmom. I had a lot of support from my parents, and I don't know what women would do, women in our situation who don't have that support, because you kind of need someone to step in and go, right, I'm managing this project now. This is what we're going to do, and don't worry about this money.
So, and all my siblings, my incredible brother for finding Dr. Bashir, my sister and my other brother checking in with me regularly, like the au pairs, the stuff that they did for me and on our family, and my sister-in-law. I'm just very, very lucky, and amazing friends. I am very lucky, but I do think, like, yes, it's amazing to have support networks, and I think you also have to make sure on a personal level you've got your own toolkit. So, for instance, Eliza's got her own toolkit.
Let's do it, ladies. Let's get the toolkits out.
I think, where is that wanting to overperform coming from? What is that? So actually, I've done 2 rounds of CBT available on the NHS here, which has been absolutely fantastic for me, because I have always strived to overperform and overachieve, and it's kind of led by some quite insecure personality traits, I think, and that's all fueled that kind of over ambition.
Yeah.
And so it's about sort of questioning those thoughts, so as you're kind of acting in the most healthy but also kind of like conscious way, because like you say, like when you're just going like the clappers, are you actually doing anything with your best ability, or are you just kind of just on a mission just to trying to get stuff done, and it's not great. So I think CBT have been really positive for me, and then I've changed my diet. That's something I had to do. I dropped gluten because of the Crohn's, but I think anything that's kind of inflames your body, because we all consume far too much wheat, that was something that I just chose to do. And like, I'm just kind of like, I feel now I'm making sure, like, if I'm drinking loads and loads of water, and if I don't get a sleep at night, I will sneak off for a nap and do the things that I've got to do to kind of stay well, because after being that poorly from over exertion plus stress plus no sleep and raising a 2-year-old, I think it's taught me a lesson, and I've got to like heed to that. Yeah, exactly.
And just the fact, God, you've come a long way, Kelly, because like just the fact that you're like, yesterday I did the YouTube, today I'm doing this podcast interview, tomorrow it's a sofa day. Those are big steps. They're big progressive steps. I've just done the same. Yesterday was a day where it was just crazy. So I was like, okay, I had plans of doing this email, pitching that person and doing this. I can't do anything. I need to just sit, be with dads, calm, chill. Tomorrow's another day. It's
there's also that thing of like, we've also just all lived through a pandemic, haven't we? And like, we're all coming out of that. And actually there's an amazing podcast called How to Fail by Elizabeth Day.
Oh, isn't it amazing?
It's incredible. And there's that one so gowed at, and I just think everyone should listen to it as a matter of.
That's on my list because you were talking to Anarchy Somerville in her podcast about that one, and I was like, oh, that's on my list to listen to. It's good.
It's really good, and love Anarchy, and that thing of breaking life down into the next hour, let alone the next 10 minutes. I think we've all,
yeah, we really have been through the ringer with the pandemic. I was watching on BBC iPlayer the James McAvoy and Sharon Horgan. What's it called? Oh, it's one word. It's on the tip of my tongue now. But it's like an hour and a half, BBC. Sharon Horgan, James McAvoy. And it's basically a couple that filming them like getting through the pandemic, and it's really good. Really good. It makes you. Eliza says, "Yeah, it's good. She's seen it.
I'm so sorry.
She pretends it."
Sorry, but you found a voice.
I love it. We wouldn't have it any other way.
No. I think, this is something I do for comedy, but actually I do think, not to give people, another thing to do, but I think there is a lot to be said for doing daily pages, which is like when you wake up, anything that's in your head, just getting it onto paper, because I think quite often we're carrying quite a lot around, and that also doesn't help the kind of overexertion.
Yeah, that was a big help for me when I was like last year full on burnout. Every day I would get up and write my morning pages the artist's way. And I just interviewed Antonia Taylor last week, and she does the same. In fact, she said that's like critical to her to that she so many. It's so interesting, Kay. The more women I talk to, the more they're saying, you know what I do? I actually do my journaling. That's a big help for me. So it's so interesting.
I just think for writing comedy, I have to. Otherwise, I'm kind of thinking about the shopping or whatever.
Yes, this has been fabulous.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, you know what, I usually always ask very quickly 5 questions. Right, on your dodgy tough days, do you opt for lemon in water or lemon in gin? Both. Yeah, both. We'll do both. Move your body or move the remote?
Move your body, always.
Stress.
Just quickly on that.
Yeah.
They wanted to put me on a really, really intensive biological treatment, and I said, give me 30 days of working out every single day, and I'll come back and my inflammation markers will be down. And they were, and they didn't put me on the treatment. So even if you're not good, get your body moving.
Bloody hell, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Good God, Kelly. Okay, flipping it. That might be like, boom, the mic drop of the podcast.
Yeah.
What the heck? Okay, bag of almonds or bag of Maltesers?
Bag of Maltesers.
Done. Ask for help, happy to hermit.
Ask for help.
Yeah, that's the best way. Lastly, what's the one thing you're going to do in the name of self-care today that your future self is going to thank you for?
Oh, well, I'm going to definitely thank my husband for taking Eliza just for this last bit of the interview.
Oh, bless him. Thank you.
I also have to shout out to him, because he was there throughout that whole experience of dressing changes every day with me yelping, and he was nurse, lover, carer, friend, best friend. Like, he saw me in a pickle, and every day I was like, does it look better? And he was like, no, Kelly. He was just there. So I do have to make sure that he knows that without his love and support, because I wasn't able to work for 7 odd months, we wouldn't have got through that. So what was your question?
What's the one thing? No. I'm thinking, you're so right. And that would have been stressful for him. Like, can you imagine watching someone you love, like the mum of your little girl, like, just go through? That's stressful for him too.
A massive smelly open wound. It was awful.
Oh, darling. So what's your one self-care thing you're going to do for yourself today? I would say boundaries. Look, you've just gone, you know what? Eliza's kicking off. I'm going to sort this out. You're brilliant at boundaries.
Oh, well, bless you. I'm going to have a wash. Well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a wash because I've done an 8K walk, a fitness class, and I've just, I'm going to have a wash. And as a new mum, you've just you've got your toolkit, which is basically for me a shower and the odd nap.
And those are big things to achieve in a day. For a new mum, those are bloody tough, aren't they?
I know, it is a bit.
Yeah.
I've forgotten. I don't know why we didn't all have kids in our 20s or 30s. I don't know. I think I was having too much fun.
Oh, I know, drinking bloody Alco Pops, and can you remember those? Oh my God. Laughing, messing around.
In the plonker, yeah. But I also would say, the most important thing is just to listen to your actual body. And if you're starting to come up with hives or losing your hair, or your nails are looking really brittle, or you're kind of losing your concentration a lot, or falling asleep in the morning, or you've got diarrhea every day, or you're dehydrated, or if there's any one of those things, and there's another 1,000 more, sort it out, because
pay attention.
It's normally a sign that something isn't being looked after. And I just think, especially when you're a mum and you've kind of just got to deliver so much to so many, it's got to start with you. You can't pour from an open cup.
Yeah.
An empty cup.
Empty cup. Yeah. I can remember going to a talk, and this big CEO of this holistic wellbeing company, he said, many women, we should not only have a full cup, but we should be serving others from the saucer, the overspill of the saucer. And I thought, oh, it's true. I don't know about you. I was here, have the whole bloody cup. Take the lot. I just did not think of self-care. I certainly didn't pay attention to the heart palpitations, the digestive issues. I just carried on.
Yeah. I hope that you continue to get better.
Oh, and you, darling. And you're doing incredible things with your Motherless podcast. I will put in all the details on the show notes, and I'm going to share this in the introduction, because it's an incredible podcast. So honest and beautiful, incredible work. You're doing it, darling. You're doing it. I see you.
Thank you,
love. You're doing it.
Thank you so much, Flic. It's been lovely.
Oh, it's been fabulous. Big kisses to you all and your girlies. Thank you to Eliza for her lovely little cameos.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
All right, darling, you take care.
Bye, Flic.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Everyday Burnout Conversations. Please check the show notes for any links to items discussed today, and the original music and sound editing is by Chris Taylor. If you've enjoyed this podcast and have a spare few minutes, then it would be absolutely amazing if you could leave me a happy starry rating and review. It really does help this podcast reach a little further, and I'd just love it to land in the lap of those who, like me, last year are perhaps feeling isolated and lonely in their burnout struggle. Please note, this podcast is not intended as medical advice. Remember, you matter, so don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor or mental health professional for support if you're having a rough time. Wishing you a great week and take good care of yourself. Bye for now.